Wizard World Chapter 3. Opening. The yellow parchment paper was half full with well-written words on it. Yi Song touched the paper, and he felt it was thin and soft. "I'm a broken bar." Suddenly a soft voice came from the corner of the bedroom. Yi Song finally remembered the girl whom his father mentioned a while ago. He looked at the dark corner where the sound came from, and a girl with long hair was sitting there while holding her knees. Yi Song was not so sure if he remembered correctly, but he pretty much knew who she was. "You are Cecilia." Yi Song stood up, and he walked towards the girl. He remembered her name. "Yeah, a broken bar, yes." The girl was scared, and she tried to get closer to the corner. Yi Song could see her two mid-eyes. She was definitely crying. Yi Song could see the dried tears on her face. "Young Master Angel, is there anything I could do for you?" she asked in a faint tone. Yi Song took a glance at her developing body, and he shook his head. He knew this world was close to the medieval age of Europe, and people there were not against having sex from a young age. But there was a 20-year-old soul inside Yi Song, and he was not going to do anything to a girl that was about 15 years old. There were still many things he needed to do, and he had no time for this. "Well, I don't need anything right now," Yi Song said. "Maggie, Maggie," Yi Song yelled, and he clapped his hands loudly. The door of the bedroom opened. A lady in gray maid uniform came in politely. "How may I help you?" the maid asked. "Get this young girl out of here, and get her a room." "I have not a broken bar." Yi Song stopped for a second. He was worried that his father would do something to the girl because it might look like he just kicked Cecilia out of the room. The Baron was cold-blooded, and he pretty much forced Cecilia's family to send her here. If she just got kicked out by Yi Song, she would not leave the castle alive. She would be sent to the guards as a slave, and that's merely the best scenario. Yi Song took a glance at the girl in the corner, and her face was full of fear. "I am not in the mood today. Take her out and let her rest. I will deal with her later," Yi Song said. The maid bowed to Yi Song politely, and she took Cecilia out of the bedroom. Yi Song could finally get some rest. He did not actually know what to do ever since he reincarnated. Yi Song sat in front of the writing desk, and he grabbed the white feather pen. The pen had an unseen texture, and there was a bit of red at the end of the feather. He did not know what bird's feather this was, and it was actually pretty heavy. The feather reflected some of the candle's light. It had a dark yellow light, and it looked beautiful. I thought I was dead for sure. Then I ended up in someone else's body in a totally different universe. Yi Song played with the pen in his hand, and he thought about the experience. According to Angel's memory, the people in this world still wielded cold weapons, and they were still using bow and arrows as long-range weapons. There was no gunpowder at all, and Angel never heard of it too. If a strong individual joined a battle, he could absolutely turn the tides of the battle just by his own will. The reason why Angel's father, Baron Karl, could still have a great life while being arrogant and cold-blooded lied in his skill and power in battle. Baron Karl was a hero of the Red Blood battle, and it was one of Ruden Empire's most brutal battles against its enemies. That was a famous battle that damaged Ruden Empire's base. Baron Karl survived that using his own skills. Baron Karl had a strong body, a special set of fighting skills and smooth crossguard sword skills. He had killed 15 heavy armored knights consequently during the battle. With Knight Tadas, they could easily make Viscount Candia tremble in fear. Peerage did not represent the power ranking in the current state of Ruden Empire. Instead, one's skills and abilities in battle was something that determined who the superior one would be. The power of the army, the power of a strong individual, those were the things that made people fearless. In this chaotic age, there were skirmishes and wars happening all the time. Even if Baron Karl was so cruel and arrogant, people still never moved out of his territory. After all, people needed to rely on someone that was strong enough to protect them for their own survival. Without the protection of a lord, People wouldn't be able to survive outside for a long time because there were bandits everywhere. Some bandits even resorted to cannibalism if they could not find food. Traveling from one territory to another without protection was pretty much looking to die. People would not survive with just having a stout heart. The situation in Baron Karl's territory was different. The bandit groups around the territory were raided and cleared out by the guards led by the Baron. Not only common people were afraid of him, bandits would even run away just after hearing his name. The Baron's territory together with half of the Candia city were actually supported by the Baron, and bandits were utterly terrified of the Baron's power. This was also the reason why Old Wade wasn't so concerned regarding Viscount Candia's title. People living in the territory did not die randomly. The only thing they had to suffer was living under the dominion of the Baron. No matter how cruel the Baron was, only a certain amount of people were affected by that. There were countless people in the territory, and people did not think they would be the next one. Yi Song tried guessing the thoughts of the people living in the territory. Yi Song grabbed the parchment paper on the desk. He had never seen such language. It looked like English, but it also looked like the ancient Chinese Tibetan language. It would be very hard to learn this language if I didn't have Angel's memory, Yi Song thought, and thanks to Angel, Yi Song could speak and understand this language just fine. The language part in Angel's brain remained there, and it would generate proper words whenever Yi Song tried to express something. The structure of the words looks well developed here. Broken bar, Yi Song thought while reading the paper Angel had copied down the history of the family on it. If only I could get my biological chip to work, it would be much easier for me to learn and comprehend the knowledge here since the language structure is perfect. Yi Song thought. He touched his left temple. It was where his biological chip used to be at. He had been implanted with the chip when he was still alive on Earth. The sound of biological activation echoed in Yi Song's ear. He recognized it because he had already heard it for thousands of times. Biological chip number 18907 at your service. I am made by Chinese Tang Company, and supervised by the Artificial Intelligence Department. A sweet Chinese female voice was speaking within Yi Song's head. Yi Song was not surprised by it because he knew it was the advertisement sound of the chip. It was just like the welcome message that would appear whenever you turned the TV screen on. The chip itself, however, did not have any intelligence. Biological chip was the invention of the 23rd century, and it had two major functions: analysis and storage. The analysis function was very basic. It used different information to do a logical analysis on the structures of certain things, and the result would be automatically inputted into the storage. The chip itself had no intelligence because scientists were concerned about the effect it would have on the human brain. The biological function would make the chip become a part of the brain, which meant the chip could not be simply taken out once implanted. The storage function was separated from the original memory system of the brain. It had a much larger capacity than the human brain, and it could store over 1,000 years worth of information in it. The human brain could only store about 150 years worth of information. The chip reincarnated with me? Yi Song simply could not believe it, and he was breathing heavily. He sat on the chair for a long time to think this over. But it could be possible. My chip was the newest version, and it was said to have been integrated into my gene. If it is broken, it will repair itself just like my organs. So broken bar, my gene got carried over to this body? Yi Song guessed. Please name the chip. The sweet voice spoke again. 0. Yi Song did not even think. He just used the old name. Name confirmed. Chip 0's auto support system will be destroyed now. Enjoy the chip. Please call 40,355,627 if you have any complaints. Thanks for using. The voice stopped here. Yi Song knew that this would be the last time he would hear that sweet voice from the chip. There would only be a mechanically generated voice afterwards, and the sound would be created by his memory function. Yi Song was excited. and he kept on breathing heavily. The chip would be a great asset in this era where cold weapons reigned supreme. The candle's yellow light was reflected on Yi Song's face, and it started to glowing. There was a window over the writing desk, and a thin white paper was stuck at the wooden frame. Most of the windows on the castle were like this. Yi Song stood up and opened the window. The wooden frame was pushed outwards with a long kai sound. Yi Song reached his head outside the window. He wanted to cool himself down for a bit. The wind in the night blew across his own face, and he could smell the scent of grasses. His bedroom was at the 4th floor, and he could see the large, dark forest outside. The trees were just like shades, and he could hear the sounds the insects were making along with the sound of the tree leaves being blown by the wind. 2 crescent moons hung over the night sky, and the moonlight poured onto the ground. Suddenly, Yi Song heard the sound of hooves stomping on the ground from the only main road linked to the town outside, and the road was just in between the forest he was looking at. Yi Song felt much better with the help of the cold breeze. In the moonlight, he saw a group of dark-armored knights heading to the castle from the end of the road. Some of the knights were holding lit-up torches, and the horses they were riding on neighed, making noises. Yi Song could see the one leading the group was talking with the others behind him, and he was laughing about something. With the help of the light of the torches, Yi Song could finally saw what the leader looked like. The leader had a serious face with some black goat beard on his chin, and his long flaxen hair draped all over his shoulder. He looked very strong in his silver armor. He looked a bit rude, but still noble. It is father, Baron Karl. Yi Song immediately recognized him because he just saw him not too long ago. Angel also had deeply etched memories of him. The Baron wore black leather gloves on his hands that were holding the reins. He looked back at Yi Song, when the latter was still trying to figure out who he was. The Baron saw Yi Song looking at him by the window, and he took off one of the gloves and waved towards the latter. Yi Song also smiled in response, and he nodded at him. The Baron then shook the reins slightly, urging the horse to move faster.